Mm.
Hey, good evening, everybody. So, the bane of my existence currently is these stupid little 10 questions for atheists, or atheists can't account for this type of videos. So I said to myself, let's get a team of Cape Town atheists together, and we are going to tackle one of the most sickly and syrupy of these Christian apologists, a guy by the name of Braxton Hunter. Now, the video is quite old. It's been up for a while. But yeah, I mean, I'm going to throw my 5 cents into the mix as well. And joining me today is Llewellyn from our consulate. How are you doing, bud?
I'm doing fine.
What do you think about these 10 questions for atheists, or atheists can't answer this, or, you know, there's so many of them out there?
It's very annoying to watch, but you know, you have to get the other side's perspective on things. So
You're right. You know, the funny thing that, you know, what strikes me from all of these things is that the people who make these kind of videos have never spoken face to face with an atheist, you know, because if they actually did, they wouldn't be asking these stupid questions to begin with.
I don't think it's. I think they know exactly what they're doing.
Yeah,
They take advantage of people's gullibility.
yeah.
And their lack of knowledge is what they're taking advantage of, right?
Exactly. Yeah. And I also think, you know, at the end of the day, these questions, I get the feeling that they are not directed at atheists. They are directed at Christians to see, you know, they're designed to be these very tricky, you know, questions with a lot of nuance and moving around in the philosophical sense, you know, and they're designed for Christians to try and see atheists squirm. So I said to myself, let's tackle this. And I'm gonna give it my best shot. Okay. So yeah, this is from a guy called Braxton Hunter. Like I said, he's one of those syrupy, you know, those apologists. They speak with these soft, dulcet tones, you know, like trying to. You always get the feeling like this guy is some, you know, apologist on a school campus or something in his tone of voice, right? So, and I mean, also you can tell from looking at the questions as a whole that they are designed to follow a certain path, you know. So, I mean, if you don't think about it critically, you know, these questions can quite easily lead you down a path to go like, there's got to be something, you know, there's got to be a magic man in the sky who pulls the strings, and yeah. Okay, so let's jump into the first one, right?
Let's jump.
Here goes.
What facts about reality that you and I agree are real facts about the way the world is does your worldview account for, but my Christianity doesn't account for, or at least doesn't account for well? And for those of you that would point out atheism isn't a worldview, I'm talking about your worldview that includes atheism. I can't think of any. Christianity accounts for evil, suffering, the existence of other religions, including supernatural events in those other religions, science, and differences among different denominations of Christianity. But I can think of many things that the most common worldviews that include atheism don't answer as well as I think Christianity does. Like universal supernatural claims, universal religious experiences, free will, morality, near-death experiences, beauty, the rapid expansion of the early church, the events surrounding the life and death of Jesus of Nazareth, and our shared longing for purpose and meaning. So what is it that Christianity doesn't answer as well as your worldview?
Yeah, I mean, just off the let me jump in first, and then you can take a go at this, right? Just off the bat, the first thing that comes to mind is this whole question of worldviews. It's like he said, how does your worldview account for it? It's putting the cart before the horse, because you don't approach the world and your existence, as coming from some imaginary worldview. The world is what you experience with your consciousness. So you are the first entry point into how you experience the world and your outlook on it. And I shudder to think if Christianity informs your worldview and you take it in a literal sense, how long you're going to stay out of jail. What are your thoughts on this?
So you see, it's like is atheism to me, right? I don't like when they say it's a world view.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's rather about understanding, right?
Yeah.
It's about, okay, it's a conclusion also, but
Yeah.
it's best for just understanding, right?
Yeah.
So he says you can't account for things like beauty or love or evil, that's his. And it's like, do you not understand how people come up with words or how they use words, right? So let's take example for love, right?
Yeah.
So I'll give you 2 examples, right? I have a girlfriend and I love her. She's the best in the world and she makes the best food, right? And then the second one is, well, I have a girlfriend and I love her. You see how the 2 things explain the same thing.
Yeah.
But some people just prefer the word love and some will explain it, right? So the word love is just a word that was given to shorten all the things that you will feel for a girl, right? If I have to tell you 10 things about how I feel about a girl, we will sit here for maybe for 5 minutes. But if I just were to tell you, look, I love this girl, then it explains all of that, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, exactly.
we use words as concepts, right?
Yeah.
And what he's trying to do is to say that the word love is like this magical thing from God.
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
serious and stuff like that, but it's just a words. Doesn't he understand how people make up words?
Exactly. You see, the thing is, this is the approach that they have. They have it's almost like a presuppositional approach. Like they think that everything around them comes from, the magic man in the sky. Yeah, like the magic man in the sky. Therefore, I love somebody. Therefore, I see beauty. I actually feel sad. Like when I hear people speak like that, because what it means to me at the end of the day is that they don't see themselves as autonomous individual creatures. Like it's almost like it's like an S&M situation where there's a master and there's a sex slave and the sex slave likes to be hit. Come hit me. Yeah, hit me, God. Give me some more. Oh yeah. I don't get it. I really don't get why people, and even at the end of the day, if I cannot explain morality, if I cannot explain love, beauty, meaning to my life, like just because I cannot explain that does not give you the opportunity to inject, to give me a God vaccine. Yeah,
Yeah.
It's a typical argument from ignorance, that they put this presupposition in there's got to be something, it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Yeah, he's just inserting words, inserting
Exactly.
concepts. And if you would just take 2 seconds to think about it, it can be explained in another way. There's nothing mythical or divine about it.
Exactly. The thing is, I love to, when people come to me with, morality comes from God, then I go, no, morality comes from societies, because you look at morality across different societies. I mean, there's some societies in the jungle that eat one another, they're cannibals. There's some societies in Europe where people don't care about, they don't have these sexual hang-ups, like they're more free and open. And then you go to countries in America and people are all these prude Jesus freaks, so the mere fact that morality differs from society to society, to country, that alone should indicate to you that society creates morality. Society forms what is acceptable within that society. So, like I said, this is a very insidious, slimy way of asking the questions, because he's trying to leave the back door open for, to put some God in it, and I never, it never ceases to amaze me, like the tactics, like every single apologist has got a different sleazy trick up his sleeve,
If we were to go back and how the first societies was created, came about, you will soon realize that, in that time, things like toilet paper didn't exist, right?
So
there were many diseases and dangers, right?
Yeah.
And so we had to help one another to survive, right? And so we realized that it's best to be living in a civil manner with one another, and that will help us survive.
Exactly.
And now you get thousands of years later, now we want to change this ancient concept of helping one another to survive into some divine thing that God has given us. And if you know history, you won't fall for these prophetic attempts, man, to insert God.
I have to actually give him some credit, because he did probably sit for a few hours to try and think to himself, like, what can I ask these atheists, like, where is the gray areas in human knowledge and understanding where I can inject, a God concept, and then let me formulate this as a question, because I've got to get those pesky atheists off my case. Right, you ready for the next one?
I'm ready.
Right, here goes.
If your definition of atheism is merely that it's a lack of belief in God and you're just waiting to be convinced, but then you speak of him as though he's in some way synonymous with Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, or fairies, doesn't that at least send the message to your listeners that you actually believe that there is no God? After all, these are entities and beings that you likely believe do not exist. And if your response is that you merely lack a belief in Santa Claus and don't actively believe that he does not exist, doesn't that sound a little disingenuous, honestly?
The pot calling the kettle black. Yeah, of course, like, for me, atheism, atheism in its purest form is the absence of theism. So where there is not theism, which is God belief, that is atheism, like that is it at its base level, whatever you choose to put on top of that, agnosticism, secularism, humanism, those are add-ons that you plug into atheism, but in its pure sense, it is the absence of God belief. Person that does not have God belief or does not hold to God belief for whatever reason, whatever flavor, whatever form you have. So you're right. I'm going to disrespect your fucking God belief. Like if you come to me with, a mud man, rib woman, the talking snake in the garden 6,000 years ago, and then the big flood, like I'm going to laugh at you because that's fucking ridiculous. It's a ridiculous fairy tale that you accept as real, so, approach me with a reasoned argument, I always tell the Christians, come, 1 Peter 3:15, give a reason for why you believe, and do it with honesty, openness, and integrity so that people cannot speak ill of you after the fact. So if you approach me in that spirit and you say, you know what, I cannot explain why, I don't know why I believe it, I just believe it. Like I can respect that, because that's honest. But if you come to me with this tap dance around, oh, you can't have morals, why do you mock and ridicule us? You come to me in that, you are just begging for it. You're begging for it because it's not with honesty and openness. Like they always come with this sickly need to, to be hidden and concealed in their approach, and they come all slimy and and achterbaks. That's the word we use in Afrikaans. Like they're sly.
So this is like 6 years old, that it takes me back now to when I was 6 years old.
Yeah.
And it's just like, but look, man, it's like your child is telling you he has an imaginary friend. So then, of course, you will have to engage with your child and at least talk about the imaginary friend to find out, well, what does imaginary friend look like, or what does he do? So you have to engage with the delusion of that person to dispel the delusion. What else are you supposed to do? Are you just supposed to ignore it? And that's, you see how we're sneaking in, well, why are you talking about my imaginary friend if you think he's imaginary?
I know,
It's so...
It's like I said to you, these questions are designed to inject, to inject a God in there.
I had this thing where, it's like atheism is a lack of belief, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm not even like 100% if it's true or not.
Yeah.
But I'm always telling people, like maybe for the last year now on Facebook, then I tell them, look, you can make up your own definitions for atheism as long as you can back it up, right?
Yeah.
With reason and logic why you think this is atheism, right? This is your meaning for atheism. Because, like I tell them, the dictionary is written by theists. It's not written by atheists. So do you really expect the dictionary to give an honest opinion about what atheism is or what agnosticism is, right? And that's why many people are having different definitions for atheism, because the definition in the dictionary isn't explaining what your beliefs are or what lack of beliefs are, or right. So as long as you can back up what what your definition is of atheism. You can back it up with reason and knowledge. It's you don't have to take his atheism is a lack of belief.
Exactly.
For it.
Yeah.
And it's just playing into his trap that is basically setting up.
Yeah. No, I agree with you 100%. You know, the thing is just they especially the Bible flavor of believers. You know, like the Bible flavor, the Quran flavor. Not so much the the Hindu flavor, but those two flavors are very they like to box things into specific groups and meanings. So you'll be a Reformed Baptist of the Seventh-day Adventists of the Jehovah's coat on the Magic Mountain type of Christian. So there's all these different flavors, and each one have different doctrines. So I think it's natural, for non-believers to, especially ones coming from that tradition, to try and look for a specific way to box ourselves into, I'm an agnostic, atheist, humanist, whatever, So you also try to, put those labels on, and it's natural. We do this as humans. We love to categorize things and put them in labels so that they're sorted. But thus far, I'm not really impressed by this guy's questions. Let's move on to the next one, unless you have something to add there. Okay, next up.
When atheism becomes a part of someone's worldview, they typically change their positions on other issues like abortion, sexual morality, and a number of other things. I actually have several videos of well-known atheists saying that there's nothing wrong with prostitution, that they hope their children don't save themselves until marriage, and that sex workers should be put up on a pedestal no different than the military. I didn't use those here because I didn't want to seem combative to individuals, specifically the individuals who made those statements. But even if you didn't become an atheist just so you could sin, and I believe you, do you at least understand why those moves could send that message to people who might say that to you?
Well, I am an atheist because I want to sin. It's got nothing to do with the lack of evidence for God or anything. I wake up in the morning and I dream of, I sleep the night dreaming of sin. I wake up in the morning planning all the sin that I'm going to do that day. I sin throughout the day, and then I go to sleep the night dreaming of the sin that I'm going to do the next day. It's all about the sin. I just want to sin all day long.
Soon they will replace the word sin with freedom.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, it's thought control, and if you think about it, we talked earlier about the evolution of societies and the evolution of morality within societies. And I get it, you can see, if you take a step back, you can see how this all started many, many years ago. There was a group of people living in the desert somewhere, watering their camels, feeding their donkeys. And they needed a system where they can control the wild people in the tribe, because there's a wild one in the tribe, and he just goes and he pumps all the women, and he goes crazy, goes off. So the easiest way to do that was to, put this system of rules in place, where somebody can, refer to, first of all, there was law codes, like the code of Hammurabi, and every society more or less has a similar-ish type of moral code, because we recognize what's going to work for us to survive. If I steal my neighbor's shit, my neighbor's not going to survive. If I go around killing my neighbor and all the people around me, the tribe is going to die out. If everybody does that soon, everybody's going to die out. If I go, sleeping with all the different women of the tribe, everybody's going to get angry, you know. So in order to keep things calm and peaceful, we create a certain set of codes and behavior. And if everybody sticks to that, we're all happy, we're peaceful, we survive, we thrive, and it's generally better. And then religion somehow got a hold of this, natural thing that develops in societies. And somebody, some priest said, "Fuck, how am I going to get these people to give me a goat every week to eat? Let me think of some way to make yes. Hey guys, God came to me, like the magic man in the sky that makes the thunder." He came to me and he said, "You guys need to give a goat every week." And so that so that we can burn this goat to keep the gods happy, right? And then that just snowballed, like it's like a snowball that runs downhill. It got bigger and bigger, and there you have, Judaism, Christianity, Islam, and before that, Hinduism, like all of these things. And it all follows the same kind of pattern, so
Yeah.
like I went off on a tangent there. I don't even remember what Braxton's question was.
I'll bring it back.
Bring it, circle back.
So when you mentioned the tribes, right?
Yeah.
So they made a rule that children shouldn't go play by the river, right? Or the dam. And then it's like, some kids will listen and some kids won't listen, right? Because they like strong and macho, right? I'm a man, right? And so the reason was that the elders made this rule because there's crocodiles in the river and the crocodiles would eat the children, right? So now you get this one child. He's just extremely lucky to have never been bitten or eaten by a crocodile, or a crocodile attacks him. So now he's like, it's divine. The river spirit protects me from the crocodiles, right? So now, in order to keep him safe, and with his river spirit nonsense, the elders made the rule that, look, now our God's divine is telling you, don't go to the river, stay away from the river, right? And then eventually, the crocodile attacks him, kills him, right? And so now the other children is like, whoa, no, this is the gods. The elder of the tribe was right. This is actually a god. The river spirit didn't protect him. It was our gods, whatever god that the elder worship, right? So that's how it started, this God thing. It was first spirits, river spirits, wind spirits, and then they switched to the gods, make it more personal, right? And so when he's bringing up sin, right, it's mostly like religion. It's about emotions, feelings, right? I mean, to some people, it's a sin to do this, and to other people, it's like, oh, well, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
So maybe you can talk a certain way with someone's mom, and then if you talk in this certain way, then you're disrespectful, right? And so it's just a degree of emotions that is what is sin, right? So maybe your daughter, if she slept with one man or two men, and then she gets married, you will be fine with it. But if she slept with 10 men and then get married, you will see that as sin, right? Because it's worse for you. You see how it's just feelings,
Exactly.
right? So now what atheism is doing is we like more about what's logical, right? It's not we less about feelings, and what's about, well, she did get married, even though she slept with the 10 men, she got married, and she's happy.
exactly. It's
He was free to do what he wants, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, so we give more leeway, right, to what we can do and cannot do. It
Yeah.
doesn't mean that, like, you don't want your daughter to get married, right?
Yeah.
Because he's like saying, like, we will let certain stuff slide, right? Like abortion, we fine with abortion, and
Yeah.
Christians isn't fine with abortion, right?
Yeah.
But we account for what if the woman was raped, or people make mistakes, right? Or people
Yeah.
don't necessarily have the money to look after this child, right?
Yeah.
And don't want to adopt, so they abort, right? People have their reasons, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking more for the reasons, what is logical, and they are more of emotional, right?
Yeah.
Can't kill a life. It's a life living inside the womb, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's more emotional for them, and for us, it's not emotional. So understanding, right? It's about understanding the different sides.
Yeah.
So that's how.
Yeah. Yeah. I get it. I get it. You know, like it's
And what he's doing is he's trying to play with people's emotions, right? By
exactly.
saying this is they account more, they like to sin, right? He's
Yeah.
playing on people's emotions rather than engage with what is logical, right? What is the reason for them doing this, right? He's just trying to play.
I'm a big fan of sin. I've told you before. I'm a big fan of sin. You know, I can't get enough of it.
I tell people, well, I'm out here and I'm talking to you. I'm not in jail, so if the government has made rules for us, so if the policeman feels that I haven't done anything wrong and I'm not in jail, then at least I can't be that of a terrible person, right? Because at least I'm not in jail.
It's a control mechanism. You know, at the end of the day, it's a control mechanism. It's like I said to you, like you know, they needed some way to control people's behavior and to moderate, you know, people's behavior. When, as a society, you know, way back then, people were savage. You know, that people were savage. You know, like they didn't like the neighbors. They got all the men. They went over there. They plundered, killed, steal, raped the women, steal the children. You know, and that was savage. You know, like so people needed some form of a way to, you know, keep everybody in check. You know, and as society became more modern, people realized, hey, wait a minute, you know, this is about, you know, this whole living and being alive thing. It's about well-being. You know, like we've got to look out for the well-being of one another. I don't smark it if people come and steal my stuff and kill my goats. So I don't, you know, let me think about what it's like for other people, you know, like, and you know, because we have empathy, we can understand what other people feel like. You know, this developed naturally. You know, I don't see how this comes from a God. You know, and if it does come from a God, then God fucked up big time. You know, especially a few hundred years ago. You know, especially a few decades ago in our very own country, God fucked up big time. Big time. The way that people were treated in this country. To be very honest with you.
Well, then, you see, if you read the Bible, you will just realize that this was for the Jewish people, and they were the ones, the tribe that came up with this, because they made it specifically. You know, if you read like what Exodus, you know, for the slaves, they mention Hebrew slaves, and so they made it specifically for their tribe, right? And I mean, if it was a God commanding this, it would. I think he would have put it for all people, not just be specific for this tribe. You see how? So they were being specific because they were the ones making up the laws, not the God that was making up these laws. And I think there were a lot of policemen around at that time. I think that's why people were, so doing whatever they want. There weren't many policemen patrolling.
No. They were very understaffed.
Yeah.
they were like the police in the townships. Right, let's clap these. I'm fascinated how just how these, and you can see these questions have got a direction, like they're building up to a certain point.
If it's a lack of belief sort of atheism, what is it? Is it 50-50, 60-40, 75-25? And at what point do you feel disingenuous saying that you merely lack a belief, as opposed to leaning towards, I believe that God does not exist?
It's 0-100 for me. Not even 50-50, 25-75, 0-100, but you can change my mind. You can change my mind. Just bring some evidence.
So now this is the point of this discussion with the agnostic, right?
Yeah.
Where I will explain the difference between agnostic and atheism, right?
Yeah.
And I don't really like, because I can't argue back with agnostics, right? So, but so I'll do my best to explain, right?
Yeah.
So where does God come from, right? The concept of God, right? So if we look at history, you will know people made this up, right? So 100%, I believe God was just made up by people, right? If I look at history and how it came about, then the ancient cultures, it's all just made up, right? So the agnostics is saying you cannot have knowledge about God, right? If there's a God. And I tell them always, but you do have knowledge of God. You can read the Bible, you can look at the ancient cultures. You have knowledge that God is made up. It's 100% made up. And if you remove God, right, then what are you left with? Well, either you live with nothing made us or something made us. And we don't have evidence that we came from nothing, right? But we know we came about. And everything that comes about, we know comes from something, right?
Yeah.
So as an atheist, it's reasonable for me to say, okay, we did come from something, but I can't call this something a God. And the difference between the atheists and the theists are that the theists are saying, no, but this something is a God. And the reason is because God told their ancestors or people from the ancient cultures, God came and said, well, I am God, your Lord, right? And I'm saying, as an atheist, this is made up. It's 100% made up. So I'm still stuck with, well, something made us. I'm not saying that it's true. I'm saying it's a reasonable assumption that something made us, because we have many evidence that something always comes from something.
Yeah.
And I have no evidence that something came from nothing, right? But even if we came from nothing, right, that nothing still has to come from something. Right? Because I can cause
infinite,
nothing.
it's infinite regress, like they say. Yeah.
But the thing is, the atheists are saying, well, let's find out, right?
Yeah.
The agnostics are saying we just simply can't know. But the atheists are like optimistic. We're saying, well, we can find out. There's science. I mean, we didn't know where the sun went at night, and we investigated and we found out where the sun went. at night, right? We didn't know how lightning works, and we found out, no, how lightning works, how earthquake works. So
Yeah.
we're very optimistic that we will find out what caused us
Yeah.
to exist, what caused our reality to exist. And that's why we like to engage with the discussions, right? For me personally, I engage with the fears because because they make up stuff of how we came about, and they would say it's a god, and this will give us things to try out. Maybe we can try this, right? Even though you think it's silly, but you will, okay, let's try it and see. And still to date, nothing, right? I'm still stuck by just we came about, our reality came about somehow. But
Yeah.
so for me, being atheist 100%, I know this God is just made up. All my years researching and stuff, now it's just made up 100%.
Right. So here's my life lesson from my advanced age. Let me share some wisdom with you. Okay. So try to say this. Say, I don't know and I don't care. Just
That's so boring.
say, I don't know and I don't care. And trust me, if you're going to feel 5 million times better afterwards, because that's the thing is like, they approach these things with this gravity, okay, I have the final solution, the answer, because we humans, we feel very uncomfortable with not knowing, but it is liberating. It is liberating, and it makes you open to explore options when you say, I don't know and I don't care. Because if you care about something so much, then you immediately bring your personal bias into the situation. For example, the Christian will approach this with, fuck, man, it has to be God. And I really care about proving this, because if it's not God, that means I've wasted all this time and effort and energy believing bullshit. So they care a lot. They've got a lot invested in, believing that this thing is true. But if you come to them and you say, I don't know and I don't care, actually, it doesn't make a difference in my day-to-day life whether there is a God, whether there are 20 gods, whether there is a God tunneling in from the Matrix. It doesn't change my day-to-day life. I still have to go to work. I still have to eat. I still have to pay my bills. I still have a bitch of a neighbor, and it doesn't really affect my life, my day-to-day life. So I don't care. I don't know and I don't care. And that is like letting the air out of the tires, because to them it's this big deal, like it's like this secret of life, the universe, and everything is 2.5. They have to have certainty, and it has to be explained and detailed for them, because they are uncomfortable with uncertainty, not knowing. But those things, uncertainty and recognizing your ignorance when you are ignorant, these are great strengths, because it actually frees you to investigate, and you're open to exploring and discovering new things. You don't approach things with, that's why you get things like young earth creationism. It's a doctrine that tells you the world is, 6,000 years ago, God said, poof, mud man, rib woman, talking snake in the garden, the magic man in the boat flood, and where all the water came from to flood, and they build up this narrative, and everything that they experience today has to be retrofitted to fit within that narrative. They discover fossils that are dated millions of years old in the fossil record. The devil lies. That was deposited in Noah's flood 5,500 years ago. God loved the world so much he killed everybody in a flood, and that's where the fossil came. Get the fuck out of here with your bullshit religion. Ah. Where we are now, number 5, eh?
Yeah, let's go to number 5.
I love these things, because, kudos to him for actually also putting these things out there, because it's good to take stock and to see where, how other people see you and your particular group, So, I love the insight that I get, because you can read behind the questions. He's trying to insinuate, atheists don't have morals. Atheists don't care about other people, and all this bullshit.
Now, I know we've all got our talking points, but I want you to struggle to be as sincere with yourself as you can right now. Doesn't it bother you a little bit that when we come to talk about the origins of the universe, and if there's a multiverse, the origin of that too, that the only real options you've got besides God is a past infinite universe, which is impossible, or the universe coming to exist uncaused out of nothing, or something far less clear than even those? It seems that for any worldview that includes atheism, there's a massive blind spot when it comes to the origin of the universe. And all the attempts to try and circumvent that problem seem desperate and at least far less likely than theism. My question isn't just what do you typically say about this, because I'm well aware of the responses. My question is simply this: when you step away from the debate mode that it's so easy for us all to get into online, doesn't this issue destabilize you a little bit? It seems to fit really poorly with any worldview that includes atheism.
I think I just covered that. I don't know, and I don't care.
This is the fear tactics, right?
Exactly,
this is fear tactics. That's all it is. Some people, they think if they stop worshiping God tomorrow, they won't wake up tomorrow. They will just stop breathing. So, and it's not a problem for me, because the only thing that did bother me as a child was burning in hell, being tortured forever. That was what, scared me. But as far as the universe go, look, it's like this thing with free will, right? People think we have free will, but we don't really have free will. I mean, you can go to the shop, then you have free will to buy bread, right? But you can only buy white bread or brown bread, maybe rolls, and then that's it. So you have the free will, but your choices is limited, right? Like, and it doesn't matter how much money you have or how much time you have, you will still just have that 3 options, right? So we can recognize that we live in this limited space, right? And we can only move around for this degree, right? To a degree, we can just move around in the space that we found ourselves in. So it's about accepting that we don't know, right? We don't know yet. But as an atheist, I'm optimistic to find out. I'm having the conversations, trying to find out more about the universe. We look at science and we keep our fingers crossed that science will reveal this, or scientists will discover this before I pass away, right? For my death, I will be lucky enough to find this out, right? So, so I don't think it the only thing that bothered me was eternal torture, and since I know that was made up nonsense, I'm not that concerned about it, right? It's about acceptance. It's all. We have to accept that death is a part of life. We will pass away, and if you're going to be scared of dying, right, then you won't love your life. Exactly. There's a lot of things that you will be scared to do if you're scared to die, right? So you just have to love.
Exactly. There's a Russian proverb that I really love, and it goes, It is better to be slapped with the truth than it is to be kissed with a lie. And I love that, because that's the way I would rather let something disappoint me in the short term and be true than to be deluded, and living in this, like haze of lies and, things that are not true for eternity, So give it to me, like I'm a big boy, like I can take it, slap me with the truth. I prefer that, because that time, lies and deceit, that's the stuff you do to children, children who are scared of the dark. You tell them that there's a magic fairy that has a light under the bed so the monsters can't come in and climb up, so you go to sleep and don't worry, boo-boo. It's all going to be fine. You're going to be fine. Don't be scared of the dark. There's a magic fairy that keeps the monsters away from your bed, so I mean, like, that's what religion does to people, like it just gives them this false sense of security, because at the end of the day, everybody is scared of dying. Like maybe there are 3 or 4 people in the billions that are alive that are not scared of actually dying, but it's a universal thing, like we don't know what the fuck is happening on, if we even, get reincarnated or turn to dust or dissolve or frack or croak or whatever happens to us, nobody knows. Why? Because nobody's come back to tell us. So we all know, fuck, this is the end of the line, it's final. So it's, the person that looks forward to that, except if you're religious and you're going on a jihad or, on a religious war, you might look forward to getting your virgins in heaven, or I cannot imagine a fate worse than having to spend eternity in the company of Christians in heaven. That's a deal breaker for me. I cannot stand them for 5 minutes on earth. Like, why would I want to spend an eternity in their company? I can't. It's the worst sales pitch ever. If Christians want me to believe in their nonsense, there's got to be a way that I can go to heaven without being in the company of Christians, because they irritated the living shit out of me while I was alive, and now they want me to be singing and groveling and blah, 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 for eternity. Come on, It's like, where do I sign to break the contract?
It even gets worse than that, because
it cannot get worse.
like you will have Christians and they are against rape and murder, but in heaven there will be rapists and murderers in heaven. So,
yeah.
how many people that went to jail are in heaven now, accepted Jesus?
And there's got to be hundreds of thousands of aborted baby fetuses in heaven as well, just crying the whole time. It's crazy.
You know what? When it comes to fear, right? So, when I was young, maybe 4 years old, 5 years old, I would have nightmares, right?
Yeah.
And then my dad wouldn't allow me to go and sleep between my mom and him, right? So he would tell me, look, here's how you punch, and this is how you kick. And then he would show me the karate moves, right? And he would tell me, look, if you dream this, you kick him. If you see a monster in your dream, you kick him, you punch him, and you will see. If you fight back, he won't bother you, right? And that's what I did, and that's helped me got over nightmares, and it actually made me like, these things, imaginary things, right, that is in your mind, these monsters and stuff, you can fight them, right? So because they are just your mind, right? And he explained to me, look, it's just in your mind. And if your mind is strong, then you can fight them, right? And so this is how you can teach your kids to get over fear, right? But for Christians, it's like, no, you have, they make your fear for demons, your fear for monsters, they transfer that fear to fear for God, right? And then God will protect you against that fear. So you're not actually, so being a Christian, you're still living under fear of God, right? And that's why they can't break free from God, because they still have fear, right? So for him to say like, is it like fear, right? The Christians is still living in fear from their God, of what their God will do to them if they disobey their God. So they're still living with fear.
Yeah, this is the thing, like we have a name for that, it's called sadomasochism, like when you love something that you fear, it's called sadomasochism, like you there's a sadistic element in it, and you're punishing yourself in the process, because love and fear are, they're not on the same side of the they're not on the same side of the equation, they're on opposite sides, like generally you don't consider those two things as going hand in hand. But yeah, like the more I think about the religion, I get so fucking angry and annoyed, It's weird. Right, let's drop the next one.
Of the arguments for God's existence, is there one that to you seems more interesting than the rest? Is there one that for you actually does weigh in favor of theism? Which one?
No. No. Sorry.
Just to be honest, when someone makes an argument for God, normally just maybe 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and then I think about it, and then it's like, no, okay, this.
Yeah.
Then I debunked it, and that's it. So none of them really sticks for me.
Exactly.
Because if you know the reason why someone believes this, then you know, right? So I mean, I know why they believe it, right? So
yeah. Look, I mean, I've been an atheist for a while now, like it's, people think that you just decide one day, fuck religion. This is, I can't stand to go to church. It's boring. I don't want to give the pastor my money. I just want to sin. I just want to be immoral, like, let me try atheism, like, it's not like that, like people go through a very intense period, like, and it's traumatic, like letting go of religion is a big trauma, because religion forms such an integral part of people's identity, like you think of yourself as, my name is Dean and I am a Christian and I am a man, and like, and that, it becomes part of your identity. So, breaking free from that is not like a decision that you just casually take and say, fuck religion. I'm so over that. It's not like that. People go through intense psychological distress, like when they let go of religion, and it's, it's a traumatic process. It's not something that people just do on a whim.
Because I've never been like religious, I can't really. It's hard for me to sometimes understand, right, the religious people, right? But it's like, you will have people, they will betray their friend for food, right? Or you get people like that. They would, so you can see how it will come about that you will get you will get Christians that they can make the argument, okay, you do left the religion because you do want to sin, right? I mean, example, you may be a Jehovah's Witness, and then you change from a Jehovah's Witness to a evangelical Christian, and then you start preaching and you make a lot of money, right? And so maybe in the Jehovah's Witness they want a lot of money, right? So I can see how people will switch for money, but when it comes to atheism, it's not, because atheism is about when you have looked at all the evidence for God, and you see this evidence is just made up nonsense, then you reach the conclusion, look, I'm an atheist because I can't believe in this made up nonsense, right? So that's just how it is.
Do you have a phone number for the call center in hell? Because they haven't sent me my fucking paycheck yet. You know, I've been trying to get a hold of Satan's accountant just to follow up, because I mean, I haven't been paid once since I fucking left religion. You know, like, so I don't know. I keep on phoning. You know, it's 0800 666 666, and fucking nobody resolves my case. You know, they always give me this song and dance like, yes, the check is in the mail, we've sent the EFT, it'll be arriving in your account, and I get absolutely fuck all, you know. So I don't know what's going on here. Have you received your paycheck from Satan yet?
Well, I have you know, well, it's not like, okay, I haven't received any money, but the success of that being the devil helping me, so you know, the devil works in mysterious ways, like
exactly.
God, you know, so yeah. And
you know,
with me being successful, I have gotten money, so maybe.
You know, in Afrikaans we say, die duivel kyk vir sy kinders.
Yeah. The devil looks after his own.
It translates to basically the devil cares for his own kind. He looks after his own kind. But you know, it's a funny thing, you know, like how you know, I'm not saying that there are not atheists who have monetized and who have turned their opposition to religion into some kind of money generating thing. But I mean, the scale at which religion does it, you know, like it's literally, it's like trying to compare a microbe to a whale. You know, there's no comparison to it. Right, 3 more to go. Let's clap the next one.
To what extent did social and moral issues start you down the path toward your atheism? That is to say, the typical Christian or religious views on sexuality, gender, rights, and acts and commands of God in the Old Testament. It seems that many deconversion stories online begin with, or at least include, LGBT issues, purity culture, or hell as instrumental in the deconversion process. It strikes me that what should matter most is the truth and not what we might prefer that the truth were. I honestly wonder how much those issues and ones like them motivate the deconversion rather than all this talk about evidence.
There's no love like Christian hate. That's all I can say. There's no love like Christian hate. Christians themselves have been the most potent force for creating atheists. They hate with abandon. You know, they will hate and discriminate and judge, and you know, all in the meantime, while the religion tells them to love thy neighbor, gentle Jesus, meek and mild, and do unto others as you would like them to do unto you, but let them turn the corner, then it's like stone the gays. You know, that woman is sleeping around with too many men. She's a slut. You know, like, let's see, you know, adulterer. You know, like, you know, so they're so quick to judge. You know, and that is, you know, for me, the reason I'm an atheist is it started with looking at the hypocrisy of the believers. You know, if religion is supposed to make you this wonderful person, it's not working on you as a Christian, because you're still a horrible piece of shit at the end of the day. You still treat people like garbage. You still do evil. You still, you know, and the only thing that makes you feel better is that once a week you go to church and you purge yourself of all your sins, you know. So don't come to me on this moral high horse, like, yeah, you know, like, you guys, you know, care about human rights of people with different gender expressions. You know, you care about people having the freedom to express themselves, sexuality, you know, in any way that they see fit. So now, you know, that must be the reason why you rebel against God, because those things don't fit into my traditional little Christian view of the world. You know, like, it doesn't fit in this box. You know, like, get the fuck out of here, man. Evidence, you know. Do you have any evidence? Present your evidence, or shut the fuck up, you know? Because in this game, this is where the kids with the evidence play, you know? We don't play maybe, you know, maybe the Christian was nasty to you and now you're angry. Yeah. We don't play that shit here. You know, this is the evidence room. Bring evidence, or
You know, so many, just because someone is a Christian doesn't mean they are Christian, right? Because some people just go to church for the girls or for the boys,
yeah,
right? So it's the same with atheism. Just because someone says they are atheists doesn't mean they are actually an atheist, right?
Yeah.
They, for the right reason, you know. And what about people that go from Christianity and convert to Islam for marriage or that type of way? So I can't really speak on people that say they are atheists for whatever reason they change, right? But all I can do as someone that is making videos and running a community is to explain to people, well, this is actually the reason why someone has to be an atheist. Not
right.
and if I can convince that someone that, okay, so maybe you shouldn't be an atheist because you hate God. You should actually be an atheist because there's no evidence for God, right?
Yeah.
Or there's poor evidence for God. So, right, so I can't really about other people's experience, right? But the thing that I don't like is that you will get people that just because they dislike religious people, they will say, no, don't lump me in with, as a religious people, I'm going to be an atheist now. So you do get that. And it's like, just recognize that if someone says that, look, don't lump me in with these Christians because
I'm spiritual, I'm not religious.
Yeah, they should be concerned. They should be concerned. And many of them are, because I see these videos of where they are actually calling each other out now of their preachings, and so the Christians are actually calling each other out. But what pisses me off is that I don't see them calling out the child molesters and the stuff that the pastors are doing, right? So they're just calling out people not preaching the word correctly, but they're not calling out all the other stuff that is happening in the churches. Yeah.
Remove the beam from thine own eye before looking for the splinter in that of your brother's. I agree. I agree 100%. So we just have 2 more left to go. So let's clap this.
Can you name the last 3 academic books you read by theists on the subject? How long ago did you read them? Or is most of your understanding of apologetics and atheism from non-scholarly internet sources, pop-level books, and, let's face it, YouTube videos? And be honest with yourself about this. Anyone can Google up a list of books and paste them in the comments section. But I want to know, are you getting the best from the other side?
Don't know, don't care. I don't care to read Christian apologists. My life is short enough. Every minute additionally that I spend in my life wasted on this nonsense, like tell me that it's, bring some proof that it's true, and then I'll invest more time in it. Like let's start there. It's again, starting from the back end. Oh no, you got to go and, like read John Lennox's stuff and read the, XYZ. I don't care. Like there's millions and hundreds of thousands of Christian apologists. The word apologist is what I have a problem with. Like why should you have to be the one that massages Christianity so that it is understandable and so that we can actually agree with the taste of it on our lips? Like it's true or it's not. Let's start there. If it's true, show that it's true. There we go. Finishing class. Get the fuck out of here with telling me to go and read more Christian books. Like like how many years of my life have I wasted on that nonsense? I can't get that time back, So, how dare you want to waste more time of my life reading that nonsense? Get out of here.
Yeah, well, they're making up news arguments all the time, so so for me it was just asking people, right? So
I read the big book, the main book. That's the one that I did read. So it's why should I read the comics and the romance novels that come out from based on the book? Like I read the big book.
So you get religious books and you get science books, all right?
Yeah.
So I have to admit that I read more science books than religious books, all right?
Yeah.
Especially since I was studying engineering. So to help me with my engineering studies, I read far more science books. And just because it's interesting, right?
Yeah.
With religion, they have been saying the same thing for 2,000 years, 6,000 years. That book isn't changing, so
the science books add value to your life. Like the science, that knowledge adds value to your life. Like what value does, the talking donkey and the burning bush, what value does that add to your life?
So now for me, I've watched more videos that is against atheism than that I watch that is for atheism. Because I'm always looking, I could be wrong, right, in the atheists, but I haven't been proven wrong yet. But I would like to hear, because I'm curious to what the arguments is, right? I'm curious. But yeah, so I mean, why would you want to read a book if you can watch a movie about it, right? So, yeah. And I don't think he would want me to read only books because then I wouldn't have watched his video. So, yeah,
Exactly. Like, and the thing is, when atheists
yeah,
read, they are very critical, So
yes, I read it over
very
and over.
critical.
I don't, yeah. So, but how can I say this? Like, if, okay, if you know this car manufacturer has made these type of cars, and you know that this manufacturer has made these cars with problems, do you still have to go and buy this car to find out that this car has problems? You see what I mean? Like,
Exactly.
why? I, you don't have to. I mean, you read the Bible, right?
Mm.
So now you get to where, even in the beginning, right, with Genesis, where God makes the sun on the fourth day. But how can 4 days have passed if the sun only was made the fourth day, right? So if you see this inconsistency, then you don't have to actually bother with much of the book because it's getting it wrong in the beginning, like so. So okay, so now you read this and you find the first problem, you find the second problem, you find the first thing that's illogical. Now you get to the donkey that is talking to Balaam, and he's like, it's normal for him that the donkey talks. It's not even surprise or something or piss in his pants. I mean, I would, if my dog started talking here, that I know for years now, I would I would be scared or something, right? I would think this is the devil, right? Even atheists, I would think this is the devil now. So when you get to the story of Balaam, you like, look, this is nonsense, man. Why do I have to continue with this, right? So it's you don't have to read the whole book if you see what I mean. Like,
Mm.
maybe a book that there's recipes in it, and then you see, look, yeah, man, they didn't put the right numbers here. This 20 moles should actually be 40 moles, right?
Yeah.
So now you see this book has some problems. But now, like the apologists, they look in this book and they
It's
try to look
massaging
at
it.
this
Yeah.
thing, they're massaging it, like you mean. I'm just making your point now in a different way. But yeah, they're looking for anything that can maybe help them, case that no,
Yeah.
there is truth in this book, right? But I mean, come on, man. And then you look at all the versions. Now wait, let me save that one for the last one. I'll
Right.
for
Let's
the
clap the
last
last one. Yeah.
one.
Let's finish with a pretty common one. If you found out today to your satisfaction that Christianity were true, would you accept God's authority, repent of your sins, and trust Jesus as your king?
Yeah. So this is the one that I've been thinking a lot about, right?
Mm.
If Christianity is true, would you accept God, Jesus as your Lord and Savior, right? And it's like, wow, if Christianity is true, then we live in a world where we have to believe in contradictions, right? Because in the one gospel, Jesus was crucified on the Sabbath day, and then in another gospel, it's after the Sabbath day. So which one is it, right? And there are other contradictions in the Bible.
Mm.
And if Christianity is true, then Islam is also true, and Judaism is also true. Because Christianity cannot be true without Judaism being true. And Jesus, what Abraham, they are all in the Quran also. So
Yeah.
now we will have a serious problem if Christianity is true.
You know, I've thought about this question as well, you know, and I said to myself, like, no, you know, like I actually have standards, you know, like I have moral standards which are superior to those proposed by the desert god of the Jews, you know. I will not go and kill when a god tells me to kill. I will not, you know, restrict the rights of other people within a society because a god told me so, you know, like, so, you know, I think secular morality is far superior, you know, and, you know, even if you can prove to me beyond a reasonable doubt that there's a magic man living in the sky that pulls the strings on everything here on earth, you know, I have standards, you know, of morals. You know, like I'm sorry, you know, like I can't, you know. If there is a God out there, he's got some explaining to do before, you know. I mean, and you can, you know, you can say, "Who are you to question God?" Rah, 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 the wrath of God, or, you know, like that's fine, you know. If it's true, then God created me with a mind to question Him. You know, so I'm good with that, you know, like, and if I'm going to be burning for eternity, I'm cool with that. I'll be in good company. All my friends will be there as well, you know, like we can roast we can roast together.
Yeah. For me, it's like you see just the magnitude of this thing, right? Because now you will have, I mean, if Christianity is true, you will still have science, right?
Yeah.
With the earth being billions of years old, or the universe being billions of years old. And so now, what was God doing for billions of years? Right? What was He doing? see, it's like
he was cooking up some Adam and cooking up some Eve in the lab, you know, and testing different ones. He's like, oh, is this one gonna kill this one? Let's see.
you see what I want to bring across is not that I'm okay for me. If Christianity were true, I would become a Satanist and not be a atheist anymore. I would be a Satanist, right? Because I want to be on the good side. I mean, I think it would be in your best interest to be on the warden's good side, right? Because the devil is basically the warden. Oh, now.
That's the truth.
He's the warden, right? God is the one that is making that made this place, right? So I don't think he's the good guy. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Killer of babies. No.
Yeah, but it's true that you say, you know, like you've got to make friends with a guy that's going to be in charge.
Yeah, with the demons. Yeah, maybe I'll change into a demon and then I get to punish. Right? So, yeah.
Exactly.
You see, that is my human survival instinct kicking in.
I never actually thought of it like that. You know, you have a very good point.
But yeah, for people that is, you know, I want you to just think of the gravity of the situation if Christianity is actually true, right? Because, like God says, right? I guess in one part he says, don't worship other gods, right?
Mm.
And people will say, well, that is God admitting that there's other gods. But for me, um, that is just the Hebrew saying that people are worshiping other gods. That doesn't mean that God is real, right?
Mm.
But then there's another verse also where God is saying something like where it's like God is in heaven, and then the council of heaven, right? So if there's a council, then there must be other gods also, right?
Mm,
And other
mm,
people
mm.
also, right? So now we will have to dig in. Well, is those gods also then true, right?
Yeah.
And it's like just the gravity of it, let me just go to science again, huh?
Yeah.
Because there's so much science, right? So now you have to like think like, okay, so we know how lightning works, right? With
Uh,
the negative and positive particles, right? Electro
yeah.
particles in the air, right? So how does God maneuver that? Like, you see, because obviously that's Hemos now that made that thing, right?
Uh,
So how does he? You see, it's like there's a whole thing, man. Like, and so if Jesus is real, then all the demons is Dracula also real? Is the Easter Bunny also real? Is Father Christmas also real? It's like there's so many things you have to consider.
that's
If,
yeah, that's the
and
thing. Yeah.
I don't think Braxton has considered that. He's just
Yeah.
asking that as a gotcha question, but he hasn't
Exactly. Yeah.
like the gravity of it. If Christianity were to be true, right? What if Islam is true?
Yeah.
Will he become a Muslim? So
Yeah, like I'm so glad that we actually went through this. Like I've been looking for for someone to go through these 10 questions with me. It's been
you
great
know,
fun.
like, because I I wonder if Islam is true, will he
Yeah.
put on a suicide jacket and go bomb himself up? I don't think he would do that,
I don't
right?
think so either.
So
No.
so 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 why does it? So why would it be weird for him to think that his Christianity is just the goods, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's not. In
Exactly. Like they always come at this from only one angle. Like that's the for me also a big part of waking up to the lies of religion is when I took a step back, from the one religion that I happen to be in. When I realized, hey, wait a minute, there's other religions, with other gods. Like, wait a minute, it's not possible for all of them to be right at the same time. So
yeah.
there's two cases here. One is right and all is wrong, or all is wrong.
Hmm.
And then I just said to myself, no, wait a minute, yeah, like something's not right, yeah. And each one of them have got the same exact promises, like promises of great rewards if true, and and if you're a good boy you get all the presents, and if you're a bad boy you get sent to the corner, and you're gonna wait in the corner forever. And all of them have got the same carrot and stick. It's motivation and punishment, the same thing. And that's the thing. Like if there's anything I can do to encourage a believer to take a step back, like because they're standing with their face right up against the tree, They cannot see that they are in a forest. There's a whole forest of trees around them. Like, and all of these trees in the forests are other religions. Like the same type of tree. They form the same kind of shade. They, drop the same kind of fruit. But they're standing like right in front with their noses up against the tree of this one religion that they believe in. They cannot see around them the other trees. And when I stepped back from that, I said to myself, hey, fuck, I don't like living in a forest. I don't spark living in a forest. I want the freedom of open air and valleys and mountains and hills. I can't spend the rest of my life standing in the forest with my nose up against a tree. Like, come on,
For me, so clearly he's a Christian apologist, right? And so but in this case, they like doing the premise 1 and the premise 2. And so I'm just gonna leave it with the premise 1. God, man made up gods, right?
Yeah.
No. Premise 1, the Bible was written by God. Premise 2, all men lie. I'm not saying this right. Premise 1, the Bible was written by man. Premise 2, all men lies. So the conclusion is the Bible is made up lies. Because we know men lie.
It's a valid syllogism.
And even in their Christian worldview, everyone lies and everyone sin.
Yeah. I mean, in part, it's valid, as you should formulate it thus. Men wrote the Bible, men lie. So the conclusion is that at least some part of the Bible contains lies. So I think that would be a valid structural form. But I mean, thank you so much, Luan. I think let's call it a night there. And thanks for joining me. And I mean, there's hundreds of these gotcha questions for atheists. Like they're supposed to make you shake in fear of the Almighty Creator. When you're confronted with the emptiness of your atheism in the face of these powerful questions. I just thought it would be fun to go through them with somebody, and I really enjoyed doing this with you. Tell us about your Facebook group. You've got a Facebook group going up, Atheist Community of Cape Town. Just tell everybody what they need to search for on Facebook to find it, and what happens in the group. And
oh man, so now my phone is gone.
Yeah.
But that's nothing new because I keep on. I'm a 80s. I was born in the 80s. I played Popansi in the sand. So this phone is like I can put my phone down and then it's whatever. So I'm the only admin now on the group.
Yeah.
So the group is like, I think we're going to 600 now, right?
Right.
So if anyone can join
around
the world, but it's mostly for if you live in Cape Town, you can join our Facebook group. The Atheist Community of Cape Town, right?
Yeah.
So you can just search in Facebook, Atheist Community of Cape Town, and you will find it, right? And so so the community is basically for you know, if you struggling with family members, or you know you're having a hard time and you need some
Yeah.
atheists to talk to, you can join our group and we can chat. And you know, like a community where we support one another. That's
Right.
what it's about, right? So that's what the atheist community is about. We're not in a position yet to, you know, assist people financially, because, you
Yeah.
know, there's not really money in atheism. But
And this time, with everything going on in the world, there's,
yeah, even now I have to work. My own business, but I have to work in my business now. So I'm not,
yeah.
mostly at night time,
Mhm.
I can be online, and then maybe I can check on my phone during the day. But because I lost my phone, so now I'm like, I have to wait now till nighttime to be online and moderate. And for some reason, this Facebook is always telling me to moderate. I must approve
Mm,
every post, right?
yeah.
And it's like,
You
you know,
must, there's one
I
thing that I'm sorry to interrupt you here, but
mm,
there's one thing that I learned in life. It's like it's okay to ask for help. Like you
mm,
need
mm,
to, you need to make a post in the
uh,
group and say,
mm,
guys, I'm looking for people to help me to moderate this group. If you think that you are available, that you have some free time, please send me a direct message. We can chat, and I can make you a moderator on a trial basis. But I need some help to manage the group because we've grown quite big now, and we need
yes.
some people from the community to step
So,
up and step in.
so I have done that, but then
Yeah,
what I did was I only asked people that is also living in Cape Town to
yeah,
be a moderator, right?
mm,
Because of the time zone. Because I don't
exactly.
want someone that's 3 o'clock in by them, and then it's daytime here by me, and it's nighttime by
Yeah,
them. They are
yeah,
sleeping, right?
yeah,
So, but since I didn't get a lot of responses, I will do another post asking
yeah.
for moderators from
Or
that lives
just
in
look for
different
people
time
who are active.
zones.
Identify people who are active in the group and approach
Mm,
them directly, and just
mm,
send them a DM and say, hey, I've noticed that you really enjoy working in the community
mm,
and that you
mm,
interact with the community. Would you like to moderate? Let me make
mm.
you a moderator, and let's see how it goes. If you don't like it, then by all means you can step down. So
For me,
because
it's
then you
like,
have to reach out to people.
mm,
Like
mm,
if it's going to be a community, if you're calling it the
mm,
atheist community of Cape Town, involve the community in managing it.
mm,
It'll only make the group more diverse. It'll make
mm.
it can only do good,
Yeah.
to involve more people.
For for me, it's also like, um, the people, the members that I have now, they are like atheists that are established, like they don't actually need help with their family, with dealing with their family, because they are asserted already as atheists, right?
Yeah,
So now there's not really much, where we get to talk of, being an atheist, right?
uh,
Because everyone is already, they are comfortable basically,
yeah,
right, with the atheism, right? So now for me, it's like the post, like I will accept any post,
yeah,
even if it's making joke of someone, I will accept it because I'm not a snowflake, right?
yeah,
So, and for me, it's like some people will say something in a harsh tone, and some will say it in a gentle tone. But as long, and I will accept both, right? Whether they say it in a harsh tone, I will accept it, because as long as it gets to a good discussion or conversation, I will allow it, right? So basically, this Facebook, it's like, yeah, I will accept anything. right?
Yeah.
And they like want me to so now I have a problem of should I accept this or should maybe Facebook will come after me because I'm accepting something
They
closer
are
to
a bunch of
community
Nazis. I'm telling
standards.
you,
Yeah.
it's like Facebook is like the
And
Nazis in World War II. You know, they they have an agenda and they're gonna go and enforce it. You know, and
and
I mean, like they try to control your speech. You know,
yeah, it's
and they try to control how you behave. You know, what is deemed acceptable behavior that falls within the terms of service of the platform. And
for
all
me
it's
it's
doing is yeah, sure, there has to be limits. Like you can't say certain things. But they take it just that one step too far. It really it chokes your free speech. Like, because there's certain natural ways that you express yourself in day-to-day society and conversation with other people that a computer algorithm is not going to pick up on. So it's just going to see hate speech, and ban you. Like, so it's crazy.
let me just end with this, so else it's
Yeah.
going to go on forever, right?
Yeah.
Facebook Facebook has made it so that you can block people, you can remove yourself from a group, you can block
Yeah.
groups, and so if you don't like what someone is saying on a group, you can block it. You can
Yeah.
leave. You can
Go.
switch off your computer. You don't have to stay there and be a punching bag. If something is hurting your feelings online, you can
Druk.
you can
Druk. Just druk.
it's why would you hurt yourself if this is hurting you, right? So I don't get why Facebook is also censoring stuff, and so when they have these other options where people, I mean, you're almost a big boy, you can take
Yeah.
care of yourself, you know what is good for your mental health and what is not good for your mental health, right?
Exactly.
So, and that's where I will leave it, right? But for my group, I hope my group will continue to grow,
Yeah.
right? But um, I'm not against the vaccines, but my thing is that um, I just wanted the people that actually need it to be first in line to get it, like the workers, the policemen, the nurses, the doctors, all of those people
And the
that work with,
utopies.
yeah, and because I'm not around that many people, right?
Yeah.
So um, I just wanted them to get first the vaccines, right? And so now they're like, okay, people that is 20 years old must go, and so I will be getting my vaccine right soon,
Yeah.
and if there's not long lines, because I hate standing
It's
in
quick, bro.
lines.
You go to the CTICC. I've been for 2. It's quick.
When I
You're there for like 30 minutes. You're there for 30 minutes. You queue. You walk in the queue. They sit down. They give you one poke. Like when you get when it first turns winter and you get that feeling that fuck, I'm gonna get the flu, but then the next day you wake up and it's gone.
mm,
That's it.
oh,
So for 2 times it's like that.
yeah,
It's not even an inconvenience. You don't feel sick. You don't feel far. You
mm,
just, like when you think you're going to get the flu, you have like a scratchy, not even a scratchy throat, but you get like a funny feeling in your head, like you've picked up a bug, and that's just that virus that's getting itself through your system and making your system gewoond on all the nonsense, and then you're good to go.
mm, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like I told these people that were putting this anti-vaccines videos on the WhatsApp group, right? And so I just told them, look here, man, you have a doctor that you go to, right? All these years since you were a child, and now what does your doctor say? Does the doctor tell you to take the vaccine? So if he been giving you good advice
Mhm.
your whole life, why won't you listen to him now when he's telling you to take the vaccine, right? So that's just my opinion on it, right?
Mm.
Let's go hear what the doctor is saying. I mean, he has kept you
Exactly.
healthy, he has kept your family healthy for all years. So why don't you go now, right?
Yeah.
So
No, exactly.
uh,
Exactly.
that's so. Dean, it was nice talking to you.
Yes,
And
yes,
we
yes. I
must,
was
we
about to say
must,
let's wrap it
we
up.
must. If you have more of these videos that we can
Collaboration.
debunk,
No problem.
yeah,
No problem.
yeah, I can come up with more analogies. And so, my years of being a non-believer and then turning atheist. So, okay.
Lekker, man. Thank you so much for joining us, Alan. We'll catch you. We'll catch you on the flip side.
Hi, everyone.